chat room going. Sorry for a little late. I was actually recording a bunch of videos for SEO Helper. So yeah, gonna be good stuff. Let me move my camera actually a little bit. I kind of repositioned it for the other videos. Get started here. Okay. And just a quick sound check. Make sure everybody can hear me. So everyone hearing me? Can I swim? Yes, I can swim. Wow, lots of chat going. A lot of people coming in today from all over the world. Kev was from Stonehenge. Stonehenge, nice. I've been to Stonehenge. Liked it there. It was a lot of fun. We got, Thomas, a lot of regulars. Excellent. Netherlands, Germany, Nashville. Cool. Thank you very much. Hey, Rockland, you're not too far from me, Troy. I'm in Antioch, probably about an hour and a half south of you. Yep. Cool. Sweet. Bulgaria, nice. LA, Doug, thanks for coming. Jeff, crazy echo. Your mic is echoing. Uh-oh. Is my mic echoing? Boom. Let's, my mic is echoing. Good morning from, okay. Is the echo still there? I'm not hearing an echo through my monitors. No echo. Okay. Maybe it's just a connection. Okay, cool. Is my mic volume okay? I think it is. Your RV is stored here. Cool. Well, I'm glad that we can service your RV. Funny. So today we're going to be looking at Stacks 4. So exciting. So exciting. I have been using Stacks 4 for probably 6 months now. And sometimes I forget that, not everybody has it, and I forget that some people don't have all these amazing features that I've been enjoying for so long. But I'm so glad that hopefully you guys have downloaded it already. There is a forum post on the Real Mac forums. Go ahead and go there. There's a download link and some other instructions that we're going to be reviewing actually that today to start off with. But I'm really stoked about Stacks 4. It really, I've wanted this for so long, and it gives us so many features that we want. A lot of powerful user features. And some of those you could say it's enough rope to kind of hang ourselves as well. So we'll look at some of the drawbacks for that as well. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and bring up, actually, we're going to look at that forum post that Isaiah posted. And where's my mouse? There's my mouse. Okay, let me get my screen shared here. Boom. Okay, so what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna head over to Real Mac. Nope, I want. Oops, that's not what I wanted. There we go. Real Mac forums. Okay, and here, go to this this URL here. It is there's actually a link to the live stream from here today too. So the Stacks 4 beta download. Go to this forum post. This is where you can get it, right? And there's a few caveats here. I want to review this just to respect Isaiah. And we're going to be talking about some of this before we dive into some of the features, right? If you find this is a beta, right? So while I said I have been using this for 6 months, actually the current Weaverspace site, I did a complete republish just yesterday, and it's all running on Stacks 4, okay? But as anything, it is a beta. I'm sure while there have been testers for quite a while, it is a beta. So make sure you back up. It should be, most things are backwards compatible. So if you should be able to open up your Stacks 3 projects in Stacks 4 and everything should work exactly the same. If not, let me know, right? Or let Isaiah know, and we can dive into that. If you think it's something with my particular stacks, let me know. All my stacks should work perfectly in Stacks 4, just the same as if they worked in Stacks 3. So it should be a seamless upgrade for everybody. And again, like I said, my entire site is published in Stacks 4. So I went all in, and obviously all my demos, hopefully all my demos are working. To my knowledge, they're all working now. I had a few stragglers, but we got all those fixed last week. So excited about that. Now, if you find any issues, there's a few things, right? Isaiah has a public issue tracker. Okay. So it's on GitLab. You're going to have an account there. Let me log in really quick. I wasn't logged in. Okay. So here is the public issue tracker for Stacks 4. And if you have any particular issues, you can go ahead and click on new issue and type in your things here. Now, just a little bit of advice. Make sure that if you test something and you think it's a bug in the beta, help me and Isaiah out and have the simplest use case. Don't say that, I have this page that has like 500 stacks on it and it doesn't work, right? Try to replicate it down to the least amount of stacks on the page, preferably just 1 stack or 2 stacks on a page or something like that. Something really simple. Ship a project file with just that 1 page in there. And hopefully it'll really help us out if you can provide a step-by-step how to replicate the particular issue. It really helps us if we can easily replicate something, fix things a lot faster, right? So I understand it takes a lot of time. Most of the big things should be ironed out. I've filed a gazillion bugs over the past 6 months, and hopefully a lot of those are resolved and we don't have any more. I'm sure there are some bugs though. So make sure that you give as clean and concise details for that particular issue. Now, also you can private message Isaiah. There's also a Slack channel. If anyone is a Slack user, I don't have Slack open right now, but there is a Slack channel for your head. Okay, so Isaiah set up his own Slack channel, and I'll quickly show that Slack is launching for me right now. And so here is that Slack channel, right? So it's kind of like a chat room, right? So it's loading right now, but there we go. So here's the little chat room. I see Rob just joined today. So yeah, congratulations for joining the chat, Rob. So this is kind of a chat room, and you can message people and ask questions, and Isaiah is always active in that group as well. So that is this URL, the slack.yourhead.com. Ooh, he has a typo. Yourhead. Swap the H and the E. But okay, cool. Okay, so that kind of gets some of the beginning stuff out of the way. It's a beta. Please be nice. It's a beta. File some issues if you find some. It helps everybody out, right? File if you want to join the Slack channel, join over there, and you can get help that way as well. Okay. Obviously, you can post on Weaverspace. I'm happy to help out and take some of the burden off Isaiah because I'm happy like that. I want everyone to succeed as well. So if you're a member over on Weaverspace, please feel free to file some stuff over there, and chances are I can help you out. If not, we can get Isaiah involved as well. So what are the big features? Now, Isaiah did a really great job on some videos, right? So here he did videos on 5 major things, and then he did some smaller features on 5 more little things, right? Now, these are great videos, and Isaiah's tutorial style is, I'm a little bit jealous. Like, he is super slow, soft-spoken, very thoughtful, and I am obviously, like, the opposite, right? So, I love his style. Check out those videos. Obviously, I see from these link numbers that a lot of people have clicked on those. They're great videos, and yeah. So, without further ado, let's jump on in, and let me pull up my notes for all of these particular things. Actually, I should have done that before. No, where are my notes from today? Okay, here, got it. Okay, I got my notes. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into RapidWeaver and have some fun. Oh, obviously there's the download here, right? So download, and there's the release notes for the beta. Okay, sweet. Make sure you read the rest of this for how to properly do a bug report, all that jazz. It'd be really beneficial. Okay, now for the fun stuff. Let's go ahead and let's let's just open up a blank project file. How about that? Instead of confusing you with other data and stuff, let's go ahead and open up a completely blank new project file and look at some of the new features in Stacks 4. So first thing we'll notice once this adds, I lost my chat window. Let me get that up just in case. Andrew asks, how can someone test out Stacks 4 and still remain in the Stacks 3 environment in production? Great question, Tim. Remind me at the end and we'll look at that. That is actually a fabulous question. Okay, is there a release date? There is no official release date yet. It'll be released when, depending on how many bugs are found. If no bugs are found for weeks, maybe it's next week. I have no idea. I don't think Isaiah knows what the release date is either. Just because this is the first beta. We'll see how long it goes and what issues people find. Sweet. So first thing we'll notice is dark mode. I am currently running Mojave in dark mode, and one of the new features in Stacks 4 is dark mode. Okay, and what you'll notice here is, let me get this window lined up, is the library here is in dark mode. The tools panel over here on the settings panel over here is in dark mode, right? And then the middle, I prefer. Now I should actually show you what the default is. Now, by default, if you are in dark mode, where is it? General. Oh, this is dark mode. Okay, so by default, this is the default dark mode. Okay, where if you basically everything is dark, even the text edit area. But as I showed you, inside Stacks preferences, Isaiah knows that not everybody might like this. My preferred area is to have this edit region in the middle, always light mode. So I want this middle part always light. To me, that just feels the best, right? Because I'm going to be editing my content. Mostly the website data that we use is going to be kind of in a light mode anyway. So yeah, I want the middle area to be always in light mode. Okay, but you can also control the library in the sidebar, right? So by default, it's follow system appearance. And if you can say always light mode, so you can have the library. I don't know why anyone would want that, to be honest with you, but hey, he added the preference. And then you can do the same thing for the settings sidebar over here. Maybe for accessibility, maybe you like having the light, but it's nice, right? So yeah, it's nice that we have the option. So really good stuff there. Okay, so that's dark mode. Now, I do want to say, if you are a Foundation user, and probably a lot of people here are, if you go to site styles, okay, if you're using Foundation and you're in dark mode, okay, you'll notice that things kind of look funky. Like, this isn't dark mode. Like, I put this middle thing or let's delete site styles so we can see that again. So here's dark mode, right? By default. And if I add in site styles, boom, whoa, nothing looks, this isn't dark mode, Joe. What the heck? What's going on here? Okay. I haven't decided whether or not to remove this setting or what to do, but it's really simple. It doesn't affect you if you have the middle area set to light always. But if you really want the dark mode area, essentially, if you go to the site style stack and you go to, there's a setting here that's turned on by default. It's called preview background. And if you turn that off, okay, you will then have dark mode inside site styles. And the reason for this is, if you ever noticed, site styles, it applies the website background that you have. So if we had a red website background, it makes edit mode red, right? So it's kind of an interesting feature of site styles, but for dark mode, it could cause things to be a little wacky. So you might not want that turned on. So if you want this dark mode in the middle and you're using Foundation, go to site styles and turn off preview background. Pro tip number 1. Cool. Sweet. So next little feature that we have is CSS classes. So if you notice, when you add any default stack, at least, a lot of stacks will have the same settings up at the top here. So you'll notice that there's a few new ones, and we'll review some of these. And maybe I should just go straight down and look at some of these new settings. Okay, up at the top, you'll notice that we have title. Okay, and what this allows us to do, it's pretty interesting. It allows us to modify the title here. Okay, so I can say, this is my intro if I want, right? So there we go. I added a title, and it added that to the stacks title here in edit mode. Now, actually, one more thing before I get too far, before I forget. If you'll notice, before stacks had a few different view modes. There was a little 3 toggle in the middle. It only has one view mode now. This is it. This view, so that has all of the outlines with the labels and all that stuff. The other view modes are gone. So if you didn't, a lot of people didn't even realize those existed. And that is why they're gone, because some people would accidentally trigger the other view modes and be confused and lost. So we now are stuck with the Venti view mode inside stacks edit mode. So anyway, back to these settings. This is, again, title, and we can modify and add stuff to the title or the label here inside edit mode, which is pretty slick. Next up is notes. So I can actually add in some notes here. So if I do, this is some notes, okay? And what's cool here is, boom, we have a little note thing, right? So we can add notes. Now, obviously, these are only going to show up inside edit mode. They never get published and all that stuff. And there's a few advanced details here. If you click on this little plus arrow, we have some advanced options. And we can show the notes in layout or not. And then here you can actually add notes as HTML comments. And what this does is it actually adds the notes to the HTML as a comment, which is a pretty interesting feature. Probably not something you'd really want to do for everything, but it could be interesting. So go ahead and turn that off by default. So that's a pretty cool thing. Now, people were thinking this doesn't really interfere with how Pen works. Pen is my note stack, and it is a free stack. And still works a little bit differently, but it's a nice option that we have it built in now to every stack, or most stacks. Okay. So someone was wondering, does this replace Pen? I'm not going to go too far into a tangent. Something that Pen does is we have colors. Pen allows you to, if you add stacks into Pen, you can collapse the pen. Right? You can, Pen has a little bit more options. Okay. If you purely want notes, for edit mode, then yeah, this is a great replacement for Pen. Again, Pen just has a few other more slightly advanced options, the collapse and maybe some colors to kind of color code some things. And the text is a little bit larger and maybe a little bit more readable. So yeah, this Pen is still a great thing. I mean, Pen's free. So, if you want to use it, great. But there is this nice new title and notes that is built into every default stack, which is really, really slick. Now, I should note there are some stacks out there that doesn't have these. So, for example, one of my newer stacks, Wallpaper, if you notice, it doesn't have the title and stuff like that, right? And that's because Wallpaper itself doesn't inherit the default stacks options, okay? But if you wanted those, you can maybe add a one column here and then add a wallpaper inside the one column. Then you can have the notes and the title. And to be honest with you, doing this has the same amount, publishes the same amount of code if I were to add, all of these stack features into Wallpaper. I don't want to dive into my philosophy on why I'm doing that. Essentially, it just makes things a lot cleaner. And a lot of times we don't need all of these settings in stacks. So if you ever need them, you can add a one column to the page. But a lot of my newer stacks aren't going to have all this stuff. So they don't have background color. They don't have borders and round colors and all round corners and all that stuff. And I do that on purpose because I want to optimize the output of our web pages and make that as clean as possible. Okay. So if you don't see these settings in a stack, especially a lot of my newer stacks, that's by design. Okay. But if you wanted to, you can add a one column in there. or use pen and get things like the titles and the notes and stuff like that. Okay. Hey, let's go further down. Background stays the same. Border settings stay the same. Layout options of padding and margin stay the same. Nothing's really changed there. Now we get down to responsive. So if you'll notice, there is a new checkbox here. Okay. And it's called Don't Publish This Stack. And this replaces all of the stacks out there that I had a stack called Locker. It is no longer available on my website because there were some drawbacks. And what Locker did is it didn't publish most of the stack, right? So basically what Locker was is you would put something in here and it wouldn't publish that HTML. But if that particular stack that you added inside Locker, and this affects other stacks similar, I think Backpack is one, and I don't remember the other stacks out there that are similar to that. But there were drawbacks of those, and which is why I no longer have Locker available on my website. That could potentially break your page. However, luckily, Isaiah has now added this don't publish stack. And what's really cool is if you have an entire section, you can add a one column to the page, say don't publish, and then whatever you add inside of there, okay, won't get published. So the one column, because it has don't publish this stack set, nothing inside of it will get published. And what's cool about that is nothing gets published. Like none of the HTML, none of the CSS, none of the JavaScript, none of the anything gets published. So that's really powerful, a big difference. So if you really want to temporarily move something from the page, you just simply check this don't publish this stack, and that would be how you would do that. Okay. Now we still have all the the responsive hide and show, basically those still remain the same. But this don't publish the stack option is really powerful because, again, it allows you to maybe eliminate some things. It really could help in troubleshooting. So if we're wondering why a particular page isn't working, you can quickly disable parts of your page, preview or publish, and see, it'll help you eliminate various components to see whether or not something is what is breaking the page. So it's a good debugging tool as well. I'm really happy that this is now an option. Okay. Next up is at the very last, the last new setting that we have inside generals is something called CSS classes. Let me get a quick drink here. Now, this is definitely for power users or advanced users that really want to start tinkering with CSS and the potentials that brings us. I'm going to do a quick example of what this does. And actually, really quick, I'm going to go to make my edit mode light again because I just really like it this way. Okay. So what does CSS classes give us? Okay. Let's say I want to have a class called green. Okay. And I can then, so this green class is added to this text stack. Okay. And what that allows me to do is I can then target that with CSS. Green color green, right? So now if I preview this, this text is going to be green. Magic, right? Or, you can make it whatever color you want, red. Obviously, having a green class and coloring it red doesn't make sense, but you can do that, right? So, again, this requires that you're willing to tinker around with CSS, right? And we've had similar functionality to this with some advanced stacks, such as I have a free stack called CSS Box, which is super useful. And that's allowed you to add classes to things as well as do a few other things for a while now. But it's nice to see that it's baked into the default stacks now so that we can really have some very interesting use cases with, playing around with CSS and using classes to kind of target stuff and customize some things to be exactly how we want it. So definitely a power user feature there. So if you're excited and you want to tinker around with some CSS, having the ability to add classes is a really great feature. Really excited about that one. There is one more little feature before I dive. Whoa, look at that. And that crashed. I'll make sure that I send that crash report to to Isaiah. Okay. See? Betas. To be honest, that's the first time Stacks 4 has crashed in like a long time. Obviously, live streams, fun times. Okay. Let me just add another Stacks page really quick. Luckily, it was just a simple little project file anyway. Another drink of water. Now, if you're wondering, the first time you add a Stacks page, it takes a little while. You notice that it took a little while, even on my Mac Pro, right? Is because RapWeaver loads, and then when it adds its very first instance of a Stacks page, that then loads every single stack, right? Obviously, I have a lot of stacks, and I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. So, and it's just the first time Stacks loads, right? So if I added another Stacks page, it's super fast, right? So if you're ever wondering why, when you add a new Stacks page for the first time into a new project, why it takes a while, well, that's why, because it's not only loading the Stacks plugin, but then it's loading every single other stack that you have, so they can build out this library. So that's why that is, if anyone is curious. Okay, so what was I doing? Oh, yes. Okay, so hopefully we've all used partials. Now this particular project, since it's new, doesn't have any partials. So let's go ahead and create one. As you probably know, partials allows you to reuse bits of information across multiple projects, right? So that if I have this partial that is, here, let's say it's a 2-column with some text over here and text over there and a header. Okay, let's say this is a partial that I want. Okay, and we can give it a name. We can give it, I don't know, column, text columns. Okay, so this is our partial. We named it text columns. And what's cool is if I go to this page here, I can then add that to this page. Cool. Very, very, very cool. I like that. Now, a lot of times, though, as our projects are growing, right, and we start having a lot of partials, okay, let's say here, let's go ahead and add, let's create another partial. I'm just going to create one out of this, and let's add another one. We'll create one out of that. Go back. Okay, so let's say I used these partials, and let's pretend that I have like 50 or 100 pages on my project. And I'm on this page and I'm looking at my partials and I go, partial 5. Shoot, I forgot to give that one a name. What in the heck is partial 5? I have no clue what it is. I don't know where the heck I'm using it to try to edit that thing. Because before, like, to edit a partial, you had to find it in a page and double click it. And then you can edit that partial. But the trick was you had to know where that partial was and what page it was on, right? But now what we can do is, if you just find that partial inside the library, double click that partial, you can edit the partial right there, right? So if you're looking at a partial in your library that maybe you forgot to name it, I'm totally guilty of that, right? Totally guilty of that. And, you know, I'll have partials 3, 4, 5, 6, and I go, what the heck is this partial? I forgot to give it a name. And now you can just double click it inside the partial library, and then you can change the name. Hello there, whatever, right? Or maybe that hello markdown, right? Okay. And then I can go back, and then I'm back here. So you don't need to be on the page. And if you notice, it renamed my partial inside the library, and then I could be like, oh, what's partial number 8? I could double click that. It brings me to that partial editor. I can edit the partial. I can change the name. I can do all kinds of stuff. Okay. Now, another thing is sorting our partials, like organizing them. So we can now add things like, we can kind of abuse things. So right now, there is an open bug about tags, but I'm going to show you what you can do with author because it works with author now. Okay. Is here, let's add this. I'm going to rename this one to be HTML stuff, I guess. Okay. So you could put your author name. Not sure how really useful that is, right? Because chances are you are the author, right? I am the author because I made this partial. So you could put your name in there, right? I could put in Joe Workman, okay? And on this one, oops, I can edit this one, and I can put, oh, what the heck? Oh, I am editing HTML stuff. I wanted to edit this one. um, so you could put in your name in there, and let's go back. And then down at the bottom, if we did arrange stacks and sort it by author, okay, what you'll notice is we can now sort and organize our partials. Okay, now this is by author. Actually, let's go ahead and test tags. Maybe Isaiah fixed it. I haven't checked. There was an open ticket about that. Let's go ahead and that was that one, obviously. Go ahead and edit this one. I'm gonna do ooh. Okay, let's go back, save that. We arrange by tag. Oh, it does it now. Nice. Okay, so cool. So you can put in your author, and then you can put in tags, and you can automatically sort these things. Nice, right? So there's no more just huge list of stuff. You can just go ahead. You have two things. You have author and basically the first tag field. The second tag field is still used for like search purposes. So you can search. If I searched inside here, if I searched for bar, you'll see that that this one comes up because I tagged it bar, right? But it sorts by the first tag field. So really cool stuff there. It allows us a lot of flexibility in terms of organizing our partials and also our externals and templates, which we'll get to in a little bit. Okay. So pretty cool stuff. Can I move my window to the left? Oh, sure. Sorry if I didn't have that further enough to the left. Okay, so organizing partials is pretty big. That's a nice one. Double clicking to edit, hugely helpful. Like really, really, really super helpful. I'm really happy about that. That's a really, I know it seems like a simple feature, which is why it's on the small features list, but it's anything but small. Like it's pretty cool. It's really going to help us use partials a lot more when we can leverage organizing them and editing them and renaming them a lot faster. Now, a little quick power tip. This is cool. This also works in Stacks 3, okay? But I can't believe I never tried this before. Now, I had this cool thing before where I can do I had the little text expander snippet that put in a font awesome icon. And that was kind of cool, right? Because here inside here, if we added that one to the page, here we could see that this is a partial. Like, look, there's a little icon and I can see it, right? But the downfall of that was that if you looked at it here, it looks horrible because we see like the font awesome icon code. Like, so while I liked it because it shows the cool little font awesome icon here in edit mode, it makes the title of the partial just horrible. Now one thing I could do right here, I can go here and I can add that to the end, and that works, right? So I have HTML stuff, and adding it to the end kind of works, right? It tells me it's a partial, so that is kind of a cool little feature. But again, we kind of see that here, and we see the tail end in the library. But I got something better now. Okay, can't believe I never figured this out before. Again, this still works in Stacks 3, so anyone that's using Stacks 3 right now can benefit from this. But you can use emoji. Yeah. So right, I could do like smiley face, right? So boom, I now have smiley face HTML stuff. So kind of a cool visual representation, like on top of sorting by tags, right? Is you can use emoji. I know it seems like a little thing, but it kind of makes a big difference. It makes it stand out. You can see that it really is a partial, and that it's kind of a cool side thing. I discovered this, I don't know, it was like a month ago or so. I think I tweeted about it, but it's my new favorite thing. I use emoji in my partials now, so kind of cool. Okay, let us dive into the big features in Stacks 4. So again, all the things that I just reviewed are the little features. Okay, let's look at some of the big features. So we've been talking about partials. This is feature 5 for Isaiah. I'm going to dive into it as my first one here, since it's so tightly related to partials, and it relates to them. So we have two, if you notice in the library here, we have two new things. They're called externals and templates. We're going to look at externals first. And what is an external? Now, if you've been using partials for any amount of time, I know a lot of users, what they do is if they want to share a partial across different projects, what they do is they created like a special project file that contains partials, and then they copy and paste it between their projects, right? Now, while that kind of works, it's kind of annoying, right? I mean, because you have to manage a central file, you got to copy and paste stuff around. But what if you could share a partial across all of your projects? That's a pretty cool thing. And that's exactly what externals is. So externals allows us to actually create a partial that can be used across all of our projects. So as you see, I've created zero externals inside of this project, but they're still here because I've created these in other projects, right? Obviously, a lot of these are test ones. Like if I add this, oh, that doesn't even have the stacks. A lot of these are probably just dead here. I think this one works. This is a total CMS blog form, right? So there's an external for that, right? So really cool. We can now create partials that we can then leverage across all of our projects. And it's really simple to create. Okay, I'm going to unpack this partial. So what we can do is we create this particular layout. And let's say we want to save this layout so we can use it across other projects. What we do is there is this orange button that is for externals, and we can click on that. And what this does, as you notice, it's the exact same thing as creating a partial. There is no difference. We have the titles, so we could say, text to column, okay? And probably what we want to do is we probably want to unpin the text. If you don't know what that does, that basically allows those areas to be specific for those pages, right? So it's not global. But maybe we want this particular text area to be the same everywhere, okay? And then you can have the titles and the author and tags and organized by those, just like we did with partials. So it's identically the same, right? But the concept is different in terms of how they're used. Because now I have this text to column, right? And I can use this across not only this project, but another project. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new project here. We're going to add a stacks page. If I go to the partials here, we'll notice this project, since it's new, it has 0 partials. But if I go to externals, I have everything. And I have this new text to column that I can drag and drop. And there is the partial, or the external that I just created in the other project. Really, really, really cool. Okay. Now, while externals are amazing, just a word of caution. Okay. Because this is the feature where I was talking about where it gives us a lot of rope to potentially hang ourselves with. Okay. Because while I can access these externals from any project, I can also edit them from any project. That could be good and bad. Okay. So why is that? Let's say I added this external to this project and I wanted to change it and be like, let's go ahead and edit this external. And let's say I wanted to change it and I wanted to have, I don't know, let's say I want to have this to be a 3 column instead. Okay. So I have text, and text. Okay. And let's just delete that. Okay. So I've now modified this external. It's now a text text. It still says text 2 column, but it's now 3 columns, right? And this is what I wanted for this project. Okay. But let's say 2 weeks from now, I go back to my original project, right? And now probably because I've edited it live. Oh, there it goes. Oops, no, here. Because I edited it live. If I go ahead and add a new one to this page. Oh, interesting. I'm going to go ahead and maybe it's because I didn't save these. Let's go to the desktop. a new one to the page. Oh, interesting. If I go back here, I add a text2 column to the page. Okay, interesting. Let's go ahead and save that. I'm going to close these down. Yeah, save. Interesting. I'm going to go ahead and open up those projects again. Okay, so this is the one that had the 2 column, the first project. If you notice, now it's been modified. Interesting. That I'll have to chat with Isaiah about that. But you'll notice that I opened up this project, and if we open up the second project that I had, right, I still have everything as it was. But this second one, it doesn't have 2 columns anymore. It has 3. But what if I didn't want 3 columns, right? So now I have an external in my project that I've modified because I thought that's what I wanted for project number 2, but I didn't want that for project number 1. So be careful with this. It is very cool, very powerful. Okay. And can you unpin parts of externals? Yes. It's exactly like, so like here, this area is unpinned. I can change that. So just like partials, you can unpin parts of externals. So I unpinned. Now these ones though, these two, the column 1 and column 3 are pinned, right? So if I go in here, that these are specific to the external, right? Call 3. Let's do this one is call 1. Enter. Back. Okay. So now if I added this external, a new one, you'll notice that while this area, because it's unpinned, it's still the generic text, but call 1 and call 3 are pinned and they're related to the partial. So all of that that behaves exactly the same as partials, but inside of an external. Okay. But use cases for this. Let's say I wanted 3 columns here, but I've decided this particular layout, I needed to add some margins, right, to the 3 column. Or let's just do that. Let's say I wanted to add some margin to the 3 column. And what's cool is by doing that particular layout, no matter where I use it in any project, is going to be updated everywhere. So really, really cool, really powerful, but be careful with it. Now, just as partials, you can unpack something. So like if I added this external to the page, I can unpack it by clicking this button. Okay. And then it's just as if I added all of those stacks to the page. Now, this brings me to the third feature, which is templates. Templates are exactly like externals, but they are read-only. Okay, so there's this third button here called templates. So if I create a template out of this, okay, I can say 3 call template. Okay, so let's say that's my 3 column template. And if I go to the templates library here, we'll see that I have, there it is, 3 column template. Okay. Now, once you have a template, you can't edit that template. So if I double click on it, I get this pop up from Stack saying, do I want to convert it to an external, convert it to a partial, or don't edit? And if you're sick of that message, you can say, don't show this message again. Okay. So you cannot edit a template. And you're like, Joe, what's the point of that? Like that doesn't seem useful, but it's super useful. Okay. And the reason is, let's say I head over to project number 2. Okay. And I want to use my 3 column template. So what I can do is here, let's delete these other ones. I added my 3 column template. Now, while I can't edit it, it's just a template. So what I do is I add the template to the page, I unpack it, and I'm off to the races. Okay, so templates are purely used to add it to a page, unpack it, and then at that point, if I wanted to, I can take this and I can create an external from it, or I can create a partial from it, right? But the template itself is read only. Hopefully that makes sense. Can you mix partials and externals? Can partials and externals be mixed? Yes, in theory they can. But I'm unsure what happens if you have a partial inside of an external, right? And then if you add it to another project that doesn't have that partial, not sure that really makes sense, right? Maybe you would have a particular drop zone unpinned in an external so that you can add a partial to it. That's possible, right? So yeah, I'm not sure about embedding partials inside of externals like permanently. I don't think that makes sense because that partial isn't guaranteed to be inside every project, right? And just so what if anyone's aware what he's talking about, let's go ahead and let's create, hold on. Let's create an external out of this. And basically, hold on one second. Unpack. I accidentally created an external inside the external, which is possible too, right? You can have externals inside of externals. Look, I personally think that's just kind of crazy. Yes, you can do that. I like keeping things super simple. And I try not to have externals inside externals or externals inside partials, which you could do that. You could have an external inside of a partial. And I feel like I'm just talking way over the heads of some people. But let me just go ahead and show this one last example. So I have this external. I would unpin this area here. Okay. And that means whenever I added this external to a page. Oh, interesting. Oh, did I say template? Oh, I'm in templates. Oh, interesting. That actually didn't do what I expected it to do. Unpinning inside an external, I would think worked. It didn't seem like it did though. That might be something I bring up to Isaiah. So good shout there. Yeah, because I definitely unpinned this drop area, and I would expect me to be able to drop something in there in the external, but it doesn't seem to be working. So good call. Another great issue. Thanks, Marin. If one doesn't publish the other, not edited, the project will be original. Yes. So Mr. McLaren here had a great thing saying that, yes, I have updated my externals, but they're not going to show up on the site until I publish. Yes, that is true. The changes you make to externals aren't going to magically update your projects online unless you actually open up that project and publish, right? So that is correct. But the thing is, like 6 months from now, if you modify an external, are you going to remember that? I don't know. So be cautious, right? Just remember, keep that in the back of your mind of when you edit externals, are you using that external in other projects? What happens if you open up that project a year from now? Are you going to remember you made that edit? Stuff like that. So just some ideas. Maybe you can add some internal notes inside of an external. Maybe that's a good idea where you can put a pen or, use the Stacks Notes feature in there to maybe keep track of changes that you've made for inside externals so that you can kind of remind yourself. Some ideas. It'll be interesting over time as we use these more, we come up with some sort of best practices around that, right? So good questions. Thank you very much. Great questions. Could you have an inception inside an external? Yes, that is, be very careful, creating like round robin things, an external that references an external that then re-references another external. That's why I like keeping things simple. I try not to nest externals or partials inside of each other purely because while I see a great use case for it, I try not to go too deep down that rabbit hole because it could be mind-boggling. Cool. So next up, let's go into some other really amazing features in Stacks 4. Hopefully I didn't tire you out with all that partials and external stuff. There's a lot of really complex stuff in there, which is probably why Isaiah left it for the last one. But the rest of these features are pretty lighthearted. I think you're going to love them. They're really simple. The partials and the external stuff is probably the most complex advanced features. So I did go over those first. The rest of them are pretty lighthearted, and you're going to love them though. The first one is we can finally, if you notice my libraries over here, my little custom groups, we'll notice that I have custom icons. Finally, they're not just folders. We've always had the ability to add custom folders in here so we can kind of group our stacks, but we can now supply custom icons. So when you right click on a library icon here, we see there's a little popover that comes up. You can select from hundreds, and these are all Font Awesome icons, Font Awesome 4 icons, I should add. So you can find the icon that you want, select that. And not only that, but you can change the colors of them as well. So you can pick a color. If you notice, the icon here customizes to that color. So we now have the ability, and obviously you can have a label, and by default the labels aren't displayed, but you can display them. Oops. We just make this a little bit wider. There we go. So you can have the names in here if you want. Okay. You can't reorder these yet. That is a feature that is coming. It's still a feature request, hopefully in 4.1. But right now we can finally have custom icons. Again, you have to pick one from this list, Font Awesome 4 icons. So a lot of those names are readily accessible. Find the icon name that you want, select it, and there we go. You can customize our icons inside Stacks. Really, really fun stuff. Okay, and if any of you didn't know how to add things to groups, right? Basically, if you go ahead and select multiple stacks, you can do one or multiple. You can say add to group, and then you can add it to a particular group, or you can create a new group straight from here for these, right? So I created a new group here. I can give it a name, give it a different folder. So let's do like, cool stuff. I'm going to give it a name of here, Font Awesome, and we're going to make it green. All right. So now I have a folder here that's called cool stuff. It has a green flag icon, and I don't like displaying the names because I'm fine with just seeing the icons. So yeah, there we go. Cool feature that I know a lot of us have wanted over the years. I'm really stoked about that one. Okay. Next feature. Next feature is okay. So really, really cool one here. Let's just add a few text stacks to the page. So if you notice, whenever you edited text, there was an editor inside Stacks, but a lot of the toolbars were like down on the bottom. Now Stacks 4 has a completely new editor. There's slightly customized editors. This is the style text editor. You'll notice that all the toolbars are here, right next, nice inside the editor. There is a markdown one with a markdown toolbar, and then the HTML basically has no toolbar because you're typing in code. Okay. Now another cool feature about this is, let's go ahead and add in like a 5-column stack. Oops, okay, 5 columns. And let's let me ditch these. I'm gonna go ahead in here. Just gonna duplicate this out. And then let's actually go a little bit farther. Oops. I want this 5-column in there, and I want that 5-column in there. And like before, if you had stuff like this text was almost impossible to edit. Right? It really was. You double clicked on this text and it was almost impossible to edit. But now if we double click on it, we'll notice that this new editor pops out and gives us a lot more real estate to edit our content. Really, really cool stuff here. Okay. So yeah, I'm really excited about this because so many times I've wanted to edit this text, and it just give us that sliver before, because the editor tried to stay inside this stack, and it was impossible. So the new editor pops out. We have a lot more real estate. We can access our toolbars, and yeah, this is really exciting. Now I want to show something that a lot of people have issues with as well. Okay, a lot of times people have stacks inside stacks. Let's say I go like this. Okay, this is probably a routine thing. I know a lot of people go really deep with their stack content. Sometimes you have stack inside stack inside stack inside stack, and you can't even see what the hell's in here. Right? Now, Stacks 4 doesn't have any specific things to fix that, but here's an idea, and this works in Stacks 3 as well. Okay? Ready for this one? This is actually pretty cool. Might blow your mind here. This is a new use for partials. So let's say um, I wanted to use this, or I wanted to edit this. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this 5 column, I'm gonna create a partial out of it, and let's just call it, home page 5 call. Okay, now maybe this is the only place I ever use this partial. Okay, but okay, if I just double click on it, this partial, I now see that layout in full view, right? No matter how, here, let's at least give me, oops, let's say like this. Like this is really hard. I can't edit this, but if I double click on it, right, I have a lot more screen real estate now to edit this content. So another great use case for partials, even if I only ever use this one partial in this spot and no other place ever again throughout my whole project, this is a great way to, help you edit, very complex layouts by zooming in on them. So instead of Stacks creating some sort of zoom in feature, just use partials. Cool stuff. And this particular layout, like if I wanted to, I can then, utilize it over here. So, using this feature is going to maybe allow us to use partials more. Okay, awesome. So that was, what was I? Oh yeah, the text editing. So yeah, good stuff. Love the new text editor here. It pops out, gives us a minimum view or minimum width at least. Really, really, really cool stuff. Okay, next up is images. So you might have noticed over here in the Stacks Basic library that there are 2 image stacks here. There's one called image and there's one called site image. What in the world does that mean? So if I drag and drop a image here, oops, yoink, messed me up. What the hell? Oh, Stacks wasn't the active app. Yoink, you're bugging me. Get out of the way. Okay. Now I added this amazing image of a quokka. Now, if you don't know what a quokka is, that is a quokka, and they are awesome. Like, you just Google, do yourself a favor after this live stream and Google quokka. And these animals are just the happiest looking animal in the world. Super cute. Funny sideline information is I run a mastermind group for some small business entrepreneurs, and we're the quokka team because this animal's awesome. So anyway, quokkas make cool site images. What is a site image, Joe? So what is really, really cool about a site image is, now if you ever knew before, when you added an image into Stacks and you published it, and let's say you added the same image to multiple pages, not warehousing. Okay, this is excluding any advanced users that know what warehousing is. Okay. If I added, let's say I copy and pasted this site image to another page. Okay. This is now referencing the same exact image. This is huge. Like this is huge, people. Okay. Because prior, when we did that, this image would get uploaded twice, once for each page. And then when the browser was pulling down and visitors were visiting the page, the browser would consider those images different. So it wouldn't leverage browser caching. So if they visited page 1 and then they visited page 2, that image would be different. So it would download it. But now with site images, we get the benefit of browser cache. Super exciting, super stoked about this because it allows us to really leverage images the way they're supposed to be. Now, I do have to say that there are some drawbacks. This feature only works in RapReaver 8. If you have RapReaver 7, while Stacks 4 does work in RapReaver 7, you will not have site images. And the reason is the site images use the RapReaver 8 resource API. So here is the resources inside RapReaver 8 inside this project, and we'll notice that's the image. Okay, so what Stacks is, by default, whenever you add an image into Stacks, it's going to add it to the resources, and then that will then be a site-wide image. Now, other things is prior to site image, if you remember, if you double clicked on an image, you can enter some sort of like a little image editor inside Stacks. Here, let's show you what that is. So I'm going to add a normal image stack. Now, this is something that you should pay attention to. If you ever want the old image stack, you can still get it by drag and dropping it onto the page and then simply adding whatever image you want into it, right? So let's just add this particular image into there. And if you double click on that image, we then enter in, oh, I need my settings. We can then enter in this image editor inside Stacks, where you can then crop it. You can add some, borders and stuff to it. To be honest, I never really ever used this ever. So I'm fine with not having this image editor. But yeah, one thing that was nice about the default Stacks image before was it did automatically scale. It constrained the image to be 3,000 pixels wide, which because a lot of times, by accident, you'll add in a 20 megapixel image into here, and all of a sudden, you'll kill your website. So Stacks did kind of help us with that by constraining your images. And I do have to say that that is not a feature in site images. So site images, make sure you pre-optimize your image beforehand using your favorite image op tool, Squash, JPEG Mini, Image Optum, Tiny PNG, whatever. I've done live streams on those previously. Check them out if you want. So yeah, optimize your image, then add it into RapidWeaver. Okay, good stuff there. So site-wide images, really exciting stuff there. I'm super excited and stoked to see them here. Also, site images, there is a setting here for alt tag, right? So obviously you're going to want to have alt tag, and you can type in your alt tag here, which is nice because before you kind of had to double click on your RapidWeaver and it wasn't apparent where to add that alt tag. So it's kind of nice having it straight here in the settings now. Cool stuff. Okay, we are down to, let me look at my list really quick. Yep, we are down to the last major feature in Stacks 4. And it's a major one. It's one that we've wanted for so long. And what is that, Joe? That is multi-selection. Boom! Look at that. That's really cool. Okay, let's look at this in detail, right? So I can go ahead and let's add a 2-column in here. Let's say I want to add this and this and this and this. And I can just drag all of them over and boom. What? Finally, yes! Like, so exciting, right? And I would say Isaiah has really outdone himself because it's not just for dragging and dropping and reordering stuff, right? Let's say I have 2 columns here, right? I have two column stacks. And if I select both of them, so I can move them around if I wanted, but I can also change the settings on both of them at the same time, right? So I can add borders to both of them. I can add round corners to them. And this is the same, not just for the default out of the box stacks, but for any stack out there, right? So let's say, here's foundation. I changed my icon. That's, need to change that. Okay. So let's say, I don't know, let's just use the foundation 1 columns, right? Here, let's add a site styles on the page just for fun. Okay. So if I select one foundation 1 column, another foundation 1 column, guess what? I can change them all at the same time, right? So when you select the same stack, multiple instances of it, you can actually change the settings on multiple stacks at once. Really cool. Like, this is a game changer. It's going to really improve our workflows. Because I know about you guys, but a lot of times, let's say I wanted to move this and this over to here. You'd be like, drag and drop, select, drag and drop. Right? But you don't need to do that anymore. You just say, I want this one, and move them both here. Boom. What? Game over. Like, seriously. Like, so much time saved. Like, so much heartache. Multi-select is awesome. Really loving multi-select. Seriously amazing stuff there. And that was really it, right? I mean, simple feature. Simple. a lot of times the simple things are the hardest to do, right? So I don't want to bang the work. That is really cool. Seriously, a hard amount of work, but it's a very simple feature. And making simple things like that is really hard. So major props to Isaiah for all the features, all the amazing things that he's done in Stacks 4. Um, I'm super stoked for Stacks 4. Oh, Andrew, earlier on you asked, how do we manage having Stacks 3 and Stacks 4 at the same time? Like if I want to help beta test Stacks 4, but I really want to go back to Stacks 3. Okay, how do we do that? Let me jump back into Rapweaver. I unshared my screen. Let me go ahead and do that again. Okay. So how do we do that? Basically, it would kind of be a manual thing, right? So if you open up your Rapweaver add-ons folder, if you're in Rapweaver 8, it's Command 7. Okay. What you'll notice here is this is exactly what I do. Now I wrote a little shell script that does it for me. So I just launched my little shell script from terminal and it does it. But essentially what I do is I have a zip file of Stacks 3 and a zip file of Stacks 4. Or what you could do is inside plugins disabled, maybe you can have Stacks 3 and Stacks 4 inside here. And then basically what you could do is, obviously I'd recommend you quit RapidWeaver, right? And then basically what you do is you would have, you could add Stacks 4 into there. Maybe you have a Stacks 3 and just drag and drop them outside of this plugins disabled folder, because anything that's in this plugins disabled folder won't work, right? So you can just simply drag and drop different versions of those stacks, or you can zip them up and store the zips in there or something like that. So yeah, it's a little bit of work. Make sure you quit Rapweaver first. Okay. Now just to let you know, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna swap to Stacks 3 really quick, and I'm gonna open up that project file that we just created because I want to show you something. So if you're using Stacks 4 and you add, what happens if you add some Stacks 4 specific features? What happens if you use an external in Stacks in a project and then you open that project in Stacks 3? What happens if you add a site image? Okay. I just want to make you aware of that because it might freak you out at first. So I created these projects in Stacks 4 and I used externals. I don't know if I saved it with the site image in it. Let's see. Okay, so now I'm opening it in Stacks 3 because you didn't see it, but over in my other display, I ran the terminal command and I installed Stacks 3, and I'm now opening up this project. Okay. Now this particular one is fine. This page is fine because it just has partials actually. So we're good here. And you notice this is Stacks 3. What's kind of cool in Stacks 3 is you still get your icons, so your custom groups are still there. That's cool. You don't get the colors, but at least you get the icons, right? That's interesting. But all the settings and the library is all back to light mode, right? And as I said before, this is the view mode. As I said earlier on, some people don't even know this exists, but we are now stuck in the Venti view mode from now on in Stacks 4, which I'm fine with. That was the view mode I always used anyway. Okay, now this page I'm pretty sure had some data in it. Pretty sure it did, right? I'm going to go ahead and open up this test 2 project because I know that had externals in it. And whoa, where's all my data? Oh my God. Okay. So these 2 pages had Stacks 4 data in it. It had Stacks 4. I think this page had site images and externals. Same thing with this. This had an external in it. And obviously, Stacks 3 has no idea what an external is. So what it does is it displays nothing in this page. Okay. So if this happens to you, don't freak out. Okay. All you got to do is close your projects. Let's quit RapidWeaver, install Stacks 4 back. You guys can't see it, but my terminal windows, I got a script that automatically does it, kind of zips everything up and does everything. And so Stacks 4 is now installed again. And I'm going to open up my 2 project files. Oh, it opened on my other display. Okay, so there we go. There is my external again. Okay, so if you ever, lesson is, if you ever use the Stacks 4 feature and you open up and you save that project and you open up that project in Stacks 3, that page will look blank. Okay, the data's still there. I wouldn't recommend editing it in Stacks 3 and then expecting the data to still be there. Wouldn't do that. But yeah. So if you're using Stacks 4 specific features, externals, templates, site images. Okay, if you use any of those 3 new features inside Stacks 4, don't expect to be able to use those pages in Stacks 3 when you open it back. Okay, so yeah, just be careful of that. So if you see that, don't panic. That's just how it works. Okay, because Stacks 3 doesn't know about any of those things. Okay, so hopefully that helps you out, maybe calm some nerves. If or when that happens with you guys. As you see, I opened this project back in Stacks 4. Everything is there. Didn't lose a thing. Okay. So thank you. Good question. Hopefully I covered everyone's questions. Let me peruse through there to see if I missed anything. I saw these ones about partials and externals. A lot of wows for great thing. Why would I go back to Stacks 3? So really, you would kind of go back to Stacks 3 if you just wanted to test Stacks 4 and you didn't want to go all in with the beta. Now, I just say I went all in. I think Stacks 4 is great. I'm using it. But yeah, it's just up to you. Some people like to tiptoe into new versions and maybe play around with Stacks 4, but only as a play. They don't want to use it for their production projects until it goes to, fully live and shipped. I can understand that. I can sympathize with that. But so yeah, I'm glad Andrew, I'm glad that you asked that question. And yeah, thank you. I hope that everyone enjoyed. Let's see. I am having some issues with impact editing text inside the impact image. Okay, well, yeah, let's keep that towards support. So shoot an email to support. I don't want to handle support cases here live on the live streams. Thank you very much, guys, for all of your feedback. Hope you're enjoying all these live streams that I've been doing. That this is number 16. Been doing it 4 months straight now, every week. I hope you're enjoying that. Check us out on Weaverspace. Recently, we released SEO Helper. Super stoked about that. Actually, before this live stream, which is why I'm a little bit out of breath, I was recording videos for SEO Helper as well, some kind of getting started stuff. If you haven't checked out SEO Helper, it's a really, really cool stack. People have been really loving it, and it's been really impacting them and improving their SEO. So also check out Deals of the Week, something new that we have going on every Monday. We have a deal of the week. This particular week is Gyro, 30% off Gyro. Go check that out if you're interested. Get 30% off Gyro, as well as the upgraded Gyro if you had version 1. So you get 30% off the upgrades. So thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoy. Have a wonderful rest of your week. Go out and make something great with all of your stacks. I can't wait to see it. Make sure you share what you're doing over on Weaverspace, and I can't wait to chat with you. So take care. Have a wonderful week. Bye, guys.